Chapter 1, The Arrival. The day the Ecker warships descended from the sky is forever etched in my memory. I stood on the observation deck of our makeshift command center, watching in horror as the alien vessels pierced through the clouds, casting a dark, ominous shadow over the city. The air was thick with tension, the kind that makes your skin crawl and your heart pound in your chest. I could feel every muscle in my body tense up as the ships came closer, their sleek, metallic forms glinting menacingly in the waning sunlight. "Captain Briggs, what are your orders?" Sergeant Morales' voice cut through my thoughts. He was a rock, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding around us. "We hold our ground," I replied, my voice steady despite the fear gnawing at my insides. "We'll show these bastards what it means to mess with humanity." Private Jackson, standing nearby, was visibly shaking. His eyes were wide with terror as he watched the first wave of Ecker warriors emerge from their ships. The aliens were unlike anything we had ever seen, towering, with sleek, armored bodies and weaponry that seemed to hum with otherworldly energy. "Jackson, breathe," I said, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We trained for this. Remember your training, and you'll be fine." He nodded, swallowing hard. "Yes, sir." The first shots rang out, and all hell broke loose. The streets erupted into chaos as human soldiers engaged the Ecker warriors. Our ballistic weapons seemed almost primitive against their advanced technology, but we had something they didn't: unwavering determination and the will to fight for our home. I could hear the distinct sound of gunfire and explosions, mingled with the alien screeches that sent chills down my spine. The Ecker were relentless, their war machines cutting through our defenses like a hot knife through butter. But we held our ground, refusing to back down. "Morales, we need a plan," I shouted over the din. "We can't keep this up forever." Sergeant Morales, ever the strategist, quickly assessed the situation. "We can use the narrow alleyways to our advantage. Lure them in and ambush them. It's our best shot at turning the tide." "Do it," I ordered, trusting his judgment implicitly. Morales rallied a group of soldiers and led them into the labyrinthine alleyways of the city. Meanwhile, I coordinated our forces, directing them to hold key positions and provide cover for Morales' team. "Jackson, I need you with Morales," I said. He hesitated for a moment, fear flickering in his eyes, but then squared his shoulders and nodded. "Yes, sir," he said, determination replacing the fear in his voice. As the battle raged on, I watched anxiously, listening for any sign that Morales' plan was working. The sounds of gunfire and alien screeches echoed through the narrow streets, and my heart pounded in my chest. Then, suddenly, the tide began to turn. Morales and his team had successfully lured a small Ecker squad into a trap, ambushing them with precision and ferocity. The sight of the alien warriors falling under our coordinated assault was a glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak situation. "Good job, Morales," I said over the radio. "Keep it up. We might just have a chance." "Roger that, Captain," Morales replied. "We'll make them regret ever setting foot on our planet." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the battlefield, I felt a renewed sense of determination. The Ecker had underestimated us, thinking they could easily crush our spirit. But they were wrong. We were humans, and we would fight with everything we had. The night was far from over, and the battle was just beginning. But for the first time since the invasion started, I felt a spark of hope. We had shown the Ecker that we were not to be trifled with, and we would continue to fight, no matter the odds. This was our home, and we would defend it with our lives. Chapter 2, The Counterattack. As the first light of dawn filtered through the ruins of our city, I found myself standing before a group of weary yet determined soldiers. Their faces were etched with the grime of battle and the shadows of doubt, but their eyes held a glint of hope. I, Captain Briggs, had the monumental task of rallying these men and women for another day of fighting. The Ecker were relentless, but so were we. "Listen up, everyone!" I called out, my voice echoing off the crumbling brick walls of what used to be a bustling marketplace. "We've been hit hard, but we've hit them back harder. We've seen that they can bleed, and if they can bleed, they can die. We've found vulnerabilities in their armor, and we're going to exploit them. Sergeant Morales stepped up beside me, his presence a steadying force. Captain's right, he said, his voice calm but firm. We've got intel on an Ecker supply depot. If we can disrupt their logistics, we can cripple their advance. I nodded, looking around at the faces of my troops. Private Jackson, who had been a bundle of nerves since the invasion began, caught my eye. He seemed different this morning, more resolute. Jackson, I called out, causing him to snap to attention. You with us? Yes, sir, he responded, a newfound determination in his voice. I won't let fear control me anymore. Good to hear, I said, clapping a hand on his shoulder. We need every last one of you to be at your best. As we prepared for the mission, I went over the details with Morales. His plan was risky but brilliant. We would divide our forces. One team, led by Morales, would infiltrate the supply depot, while the rest of us created a diversion to draw the Eckers' attention. We moved out, navigating through the labyrinth of alleyways and rubble. The eerie silence was occasionally broken by distant explosions and the hum of Ecker war machines. I led the diversion team, positioning ourselves in a vantage point overlooking an open plaza. Everyone ready? I asked, receiving nods and murmurs of assent. On my mark, we opened fire. The first shot rang out like a thunderclap, followed by a barrage of gunfire. The Ecker were quick to respond, their advanced weaponry lighting up the sky. But we had the element of surprise and the strategic advantage of higher ground. As the firefight intensified, I caught sight of Jackson in the thick of it, his fear seemingly replaced by fierce determination. He moved with surprising agility, his rifle taking down an Ecker warrior in a close-quarters battle. I watched as he ducked under a plasma blade, his combat knife finding its mark in the alien's exposed neck. Nice work, Jackson! I shouted over the din of battle. He glanced back at me, a mixture of relief and pride on his face. Meanwhile, Morales and his team had reached the supply depot. I kept in contact with him through our comms. Morales, status report, I demanded. We're in, Captain, he replied, his voice punctuated by the sounds of muffled gunfire. Setting charges now. Give us 5 minutes. Roger that. We'll hold them off as long as we can. The minutes dragged on like hours. The Ecker were relentless, their war machines inching closer. But we fought with everything we had, using our knowledge of their weaknesses to our advantage. I saw one of our soldiers, Corporal Diaz, fire a shot that hit a critical point in an Ecker machine, causing it to sputter and collapse. Captain, charges are set. Morales' voice crackled through the comm. Get your team clear, now. Fall back. I ordered, waving my arm to signal the retreat. We moved swiftly, ducking through alleyways and over debris, just as a massive explosion rocked the ground behind us. The sky lit up with the fiery destruction of the Ecker supply depot. We regrouped at a designated safe zone, breathless but victorious. The success of Morales' mission had given us a significant edge. As we caught our breath, I turned to my troops. Today, we showed the Ecker that humanity won't go down without a fight. We've discovered a critical weakness in their war machines, and we'll use that knowledge to drive them out. A sense of camaraderie and determination filled the air. We were battered but not broken. As the sun set, casting a golden hue over the battlefield, we prepared for the next phase of our counteroffensive. The fight was far from over, but we were ready. Chapter 3, The Turning Point. The morning air was thick with the acrid smell of smoke and burnt metal as I stood on the makeshift command post, overlooking the battlefield. The city, once a bustling hub of human activity, now lay in ruins, a grim testament to the ferocity of the Ecker invasion. My radio crackled with reports, each one more dire than the last. Yet, amidst the chaos, a flicker of hope ignited within me. It was time to turn the tide. Captain Briggs, we've pinpointed their defensive positions, came the voice of Lieutenant Harris through the static. Awaiting your orders. Understood, Lieutenant. Prepare for a series of artillery strikes. We need to weaken those positions before we can launch our full-scale assault, I replied, my voice steady despite the turmoil around me. The next few minutes were a blur of coordinated chaos. Our artillery units, hidden in the remnants of high-rise buildings, began their bombardment. Explosions rocked the ground, sending plumes of dust and debris into the air. Through my binoculars, I could see the Ecker defenses crumbling under the relentless barrage. Captain, it's working. Their lines are breaking. Lieutenant Harris's excitement was palpable. Good. Inform all units to prepare for the assault. We'll push through their lines with everything we've got, I commanded, feeling a surge of adrenaline. On the ground, Private Jackson and his squad were already in position. The young soldier, who had once hesitated in fear, now stood resolute, his eyes fixed on the enemy ahead. I could hear the determination in his voice as he rallied his men. Stay tight, stay focused. We push through together, no matter what. Jackson's words were met with a chorus of affirmations. As the artillery strike ceased, signaling the start of our ground offensive, Jackson's squad charged forward. The clash of weapons and the cries of battle filled the air. Jackson moved with a newfound confidence, his rifle spitting fire as he took down Ecker warriors with precision. The sight was both inspiring and humbling. Meanwhile, Sergeant Morales and his team had successfully infiltrated the Ecker supply depots. The plan was simple but risky: sabotage their logistics to sow chaos among their ranks. Morales, a seasoned veteran with a knack for unconventional tactics, led his team with unwavering resolve. Plant the charges here and here, Morales instructed, pointing to critical points in the depot. We need to hit them where it hurts. As the charges detonated, a series of explosions rippled through the depot, sending Ecker warriors scrambling in disarray. The resulting chaos was exactly what we needed. Morales's voice crackled over the radio, filled with triumph. Captain, the depots are down. They're in complete disarray. Excellent work, Sergeant. Fall back to the rendezvous point and prepare for the next phase, I responded, my heart pounding with a mixture of pride and anticipation. With the Ecker's supply lines crippled and their defenses weakened, it was time for our full-scale assault. Drawing on every scrap of intelligence we had gathered about their tactics, we launched a coordinated attack. Our soldiers, driven by a fierce determination, fought with a tenacity that defied the odds. As we pushed through the Ecker lines, the battlefield became a chaotic tapestry of fire and steel. In the midst of the fray, Private Jackson's bravery shone through. He led his squad with unwavering resolve, their progress a testament to the human spirit's resilience. Then, in the heart of the battlefield, I found myself face to face with the Ecker commander, Knox. His imposing figure, clad in alien armor, radiated an aura of menace. But I saw something else in his eyes: surprise, perhaps even respect. We stood there, weapons drawn, the world around us fading into the background. You humans, you are more formidable than we anticipated, Knox admitted, his voice a guttural growl. We're not done yet, I retorted, raising my weapon. The final showdown was imminent. As we squared off, I knew that this moment would define the outcome of the battle. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and every ounce of our resolve would be tested. Prepare yourself, Knox. We won't go down without a fight, I declared, my grip tightening on my weapon. The turning point was here, and with it, the hope that humanity's unyielding spirit would prevail against the seemingly insurmountable odds. Chapter 4: The Final Battle. The air was thick with the acrid smell of burning metal and the sharp tang of ozone. I could hear the distant rumble of artillery and the sporadic crackle of gunfire, punctuated by the eerie, high-pitched screeches of the Ecker warriors. As Captain Briggs, I stood at the heart of the battlefield, my eyes fixed on Knox, the Ecker commander. His towering figure, clad in shimmering alien armor, exuded an aura of menace and raw power. This was the moment. The culmination of every sacrifice, every drop of blood, and every tear shed. Captain, they're advancing on the left flank, yelled Sergeant Morales, his voice barely audible over the cacophony. Hold them off, Morales. We can't let them outflank us, I replied, my gaze never leaving Knox. I'll handle him. Keenox and I began to circle each other, each step measured and deliberate. His alien eyes, cold and calculating, bore into mine. He spoke, his voice a guttural growl, laced with contempt. You humans are resilient, I'll give you that. But your resistance ends here. We'll see about that, I shot back, tightening my grip on my pulse rifle. With a roar, Keenox lunged at me, his energy blade slicing through the air. I parried with my rifle, the clash sending vibrations up my arms. The duel was relentless, a deadly dance of strikes and counterstrikes. Each blow from Keenox was powerful, but my determination and tactical training allowed me to match his ferocity. Meanwhile, not far from our duel, Private Jackson found himself facing an elite Ecker warrior. Jackson's face was a mask of determination, but I could see the flicker of fear in his eyes. He had come a long way since the invasion began, but this was his greatest test. Jackson, you can do this, I shouted, hoping my words would bolster his courage. Jackson nodded, his jaw set in grim resolve. The Ecker warrior advanced, its movements fluid and predatory. Jackson fired his rifle, but the warrior deflected the shots with its energy shield. Suddenly, the alien was upon him, and they grappled, the struggle a brutal, desperate contest of strength and will. Remember your training. I called out, even as I deflected another vicious strike from Keenox. Sergeant Morales, on the other hand, was leading a critical mission to disable the Ecker's main communication hub. He and his team moved with precision and stealth, navigating the labyrinthine corridors of the alien installation. The stakes were high. Without their communication network, the Ecker forces would be thrown into disarray. Morales, do you copy? I said into my comm. Loud and clear, Captain, came his steady reply. We're about to breach the control room. Good. We need that hub down, now. Inside the control room, Morales and his team faced fierce resistance. Ecker soldiers fought to protect their hub, but Morales' tactical acumen and the team's relentless drive saw them through. With a final push, they secured the room. Plant the charges and get out of there, Morales ordered, his voice calm despite the chaos. As the charges detonated, the Ecker communication network was crippled. Across the battlefield, the alien forces hesitated, their coordination faltering. This was our chance. All units, press the attack. I commanded, feeling the shift in momentum. The human forces, inspired by our leader's bravery, surged forward with renewed vigor. We fought with everything we had, every punch, every shot fueled by the hope of victory. I could see the tide turning as Ecker soldiers fell back, their lines breaking under our relentless assault. Back in the heart of the battlefield, Keenox was on the defensive. His strikes were slower, his confidence waning. I pressed the advantage, each blow driving him closer to defeat. This is for Earth. I yelled, delivering a powerful strike that sent Keenox reeling. As I prepared to deliver the final blow, Keenox stumbled, his forces in complete disarray. The once mighty commander now looked vulnerable, his defeat inevitable. But this battle wasn't over yet. The real test of our resilience and unity was still to come. Chapter 5, The Aftermath and the Twist. The air was thick with the acrid smell of burning metal and ozone. The devastated cityscape lay in ruins around us, a somber testament to the ferocity of the battle that had just concluded. My heart pounded as I stood over the defeated form of Keenox, the Ecker commander. His alien eyes, filled with a mixture of hatred and resignation, locked onto mine. With his dying breath, he rasped out a chilling warning. You may have won this battle, human, Keenox wheezed, blood dribbling from his mouth, but you are too late. The bomb, it will destroy you all. My blood ran cold. What bomb? I demanded, shaking him by the shoulders, but his eyes glazed over, and he slumped lifelessly to the ground. Panic surged through me. We didn't have time to lose. Morales. Jackson. I barked into the radio. The static crackled before I heard their breathless responses. Captain, we're here. What's the situation? Sergeant Morales replied, his voice tinged with exhaustion but still resolute. Keenox mentioned a bomb. A massive one. We have to find it and disarm it, now. I explained, urgency driving my words. Private Jackson's voice came through, edged with fear but determined. Where do we start looking, Captain? Start with the alien command center, I ordered. Search for any leads. We don't have much time. As we regrouped, the weight of our task hung heavily over us. The city's ruins provided a grim backdrop as we moved swiftly towards the Ecker's former base of operations. The tension was palpable, every second counted, and the fate of thousands rested on our shoulders. We entered the smoldering remains of the Ecker Command Center, the air heavy with the scent of scorched electronics and alien blood. Sergeant Morales led the way, his sharp eyes scanning for any clues. Private Jackson trailed behind, his hands trembling slightly as he clutched his rifle. Over here, Morales called, gesturing to a hidden panel embedded in the wall. With a swift motion, he pried it open, revealing a complex set of controls and a countdown timer that made my heart skip a beat. Less than an hour remained. Damn it, Jackson muttered, his face pale. We need to disarm this thing. As we frantically worked to decipher the alien technology, sweat dripped down my forehead. Each button and lever seemed designed to confuse us, a testament to the Ecker's advanced engineering. Time was slipping away far too quickly. Captain, Jackson said, his voice shaking, I think I've got it. But there's a problem. This design, it looks like someone on our side had a hand in it. I frowned, my mind racing. What do you mean? These schematics, Jackson continued, pointing to the intricate diagrams, they're a mix of Ecker and human technology. Someone from our ranks helped them. A traitor. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. Betrayal. Someone we trusted had sold us out, risking the lives of everyone in the city. Anger surged through me, but there was no time to dwell on it. Whoever it is, we'll deal with them later, I said, my voice steely. Right now, we have to stop this bomb. With Morales and Jackson working in tandem, we slowly unraveled the bomb's mechanisms. The minutes ticked by agonizingly, but finally, with just seconds to spare, Morales cut the last wire. The countdown halted, and we all let out a collective sigh of relief. Good job, team, I said, clapping them on the shoulders. But our work isn't done yet. We need to find that traitor. Back at our base, we scrutinized every piece of evidence, every suspicious activity. It didn't take long to find the culprit. Major Reynolds, a high-ranking officer, had been secretly communicating with the Ecker, feeding them vital information in exchange for promises of power. When we confronted him, his arrogance quickly turned to fear. You don't understand, Reynolds stammered. I was doing what was best for humanity. The Ecker promised. Save it, I snapped, disgusted. You've betrayed us all. Reynolds was promptly taken into custody, his fate to be decided by a military tribunal. The revelation of his treachery left a bitter taste, but it also strengthened our resolve. We had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, our unity and determination shining through. As the sun set over the ravaged city, I gathered my team. We stood together, weary but unbroken, the remnants of a fierce battle behind us. Today, we prove that humanity's spirit is unyielding, I said, my voice carrying the weight of our shared triumph. No matter what comes next, we will stand together. This victory is just the beginning. The cheers that followed were a testament to our resilience. Despite the heavy losses and the scars of battle, we had shown that humanity could not be easily defeated. And as we celebrated our hard-won victory, I knew that, no matter the challenges ahead, we would face them with the same unbreakable resolve.